Hello, my name is Ember, and I'm a non-binary simmer. So I've talked in the past about how limiting the gender options in The Sims 4 are, and I've expressed frustration at the binary nature of the game. One of these glaring issues that I've discussed before is the fact that currently, pronouns are tied to the body type you select for your sim. So it is impossible to have breasts and use any pronouns besides she, her, and it is impossible to have a beard or other facial hair and use any pronouns besides he, him. These selections also have a big impact on the overall size and shape of your sim's body that sliders can only adjust so far. But the Sims team is at least aware of some of these issues thanks to outspoken members of the Sims community, and so today I will be reacting to and sharing with you an update on pronouns from the Sims team's Inside Maxis Livestream. So yesterday, or if you're watching this in the future, Tuesday, January 18th, 2022, the Sims team shared some updates on the process of implementing customizable pronouns that aren't tied to body shape. Now, it's important to note that they still have not announced a launch date for this feature, so will we even get it in 2022? Who knows? They also kept referring to this as adding pronouns to the game, which I would just like to point out there are already pronouns in the game. Trans and non-binary people aren't unique for using pronouns, most people do. The issue is that pronouns are often erroneously assumed to correlate with certain bodily features, when this is not the case. But the Sims team did also acknowledge this, that non-binary people are not the only ones who use gender-neutral language or they-them pronouns, which is why they're now calling this feature customizable pronouns rather than non-binary pronouns or gender-neutral pronouns or whatever. With all of that out of the way, let's go over what they said about the process of developing this customizable pronoun feature, and then I'll show you what this might look like in the game. So to start out, they introduced us to the team of people who's been working on this project. I'm not really sure if this is like the whole team or just a few of the people who've been working on it, but this team consists of Sims developers in various roles, including one Sims game designer who uses they-them pronouns, and they're also partnering with an education coordinator from It Gets Better, who also uses they-them pronouns. So we do have, I guess, at least a few people in this team who use those pronouns that they're talking about introducing to the game, so hopefully that will come with a bit of, personal experience. I also hope that they're working with consultants or something, because they do mention that there are 18 languages that The Sims is translated into. So of course, this isn't really just an issue of pronouns, right? In English, we were saying, we need inclusive pronouns, but this focus on pronouns as this thing that really needs to become gender neutral is somewhat unique to English. Now, I'm sure there are other languages that are similar, but in a lot of languages, either pronouns already aren't really gendered, or lots of other aspects of the language are gendered, or, both. Like, the way that gender is expressed in language varies quite a lot, and English is not the default for that at all. So while in English we do often talk about, are we going to include non-binary pronouns or whatever, translating this inclusive language into other languages besides English is not necessarily going to be focused on pronouns. They also introduced us to Veronica Morales, who works on EA localization, so does a lot of that translating between languages, and so she has been working on, figuring out how can we adapt to all of these different languages. It seems like right now the main focus is on English, but I'm sure that work is going on in the background to translate into other languages, or at least I really hope so. And personally, I really hope that they will get people from communities that speak those languages to talk about, what do they use and what works for them as consultants on this, instead of just being like trying to figure it out on their own, because there's a lot of nuances here that you kind of really need someone from within the community to figure out what's the best practice. So Veronica did talk a little bit about how not all countries have officially accepted, gender-neutral pronouns or gender-neutral language. Some do. Some have words that are even in the dictionary that are officially accepted. In other places, there's widespread community use, even though certain gender-neutral language might not be like in the dictionary or official. It's essentially official within these non-binary or trans or queer communities. So they do seem to be taking that on board as well, which I think is promising. But they also mentioned in some places that's really not there isn't a wide accepted standard of what is the correct approach. And in some places there's even laws and like rules around what they're allowed to do with the language, which could also cause some problems or barriers that they have to get over. And they also stressed that they want this language to sound natural, real, and to be respectful, which I think is very important things to focus on. I hope that that's not just, buzzwords, that there is action behind this, but I think that does sound promising. And I understand that it is a lot of work to translate something like this. I just hope that, like they've said, that the first thing that will be coming out is an English version, which will basically just be the pronouns as far as I can tell. It seems like they're also going to change some of the like relational words like boyfriend and brother, but those are probably going to be tied to pronouns still, from what one of the developers said. So for example, you won't really be able to use they, them pronouns and be a sister, or to be called, a spouse and use he, him pronouns. So yeah, this first iteration is focused on English. We don't even know when that's coming, but I really do hope that other languages won't be far behind, especially languages that, have an accepted way to do it. Like, all you have to do is implement it, I know, I'm sure it's not that easy, but, there are, like, for example, there are modders who have already sort of done some of this stuff, and I know that they want to get it right, but I don't think, I think that there are a lot of people who would be willing to work on this project if they were included and paid and brought on to do it, Which, on the topic of mods, since, like I said, this isn't going to be coming out for a while, we're not really sure when, I'm thinking about making a video comparing some, different options for mods that we have now for customizable or gender-neutral pronouns. So let me know down in the comments if that's something you're interested in, or if you have any mods that you really like that you've been using, or workarounds for gender-neutral or customizable pronouns. And yet, they do say that the first implementation might not be perfect, which is okay, I mean, that's fine, I guess, whatever. But they do say they're gonna try to add on and improve over time. So I guess we'll see. We'll see if that actually happens. I don't know, but that's what they're saying. So next we had a Sims experience designer show off sort of a possible appearance for this feature and what, this is clearly a work in progress. It's written all across the screen, but this is just a mock-up of what it might look like. Now, the first thing that you'll notice is that they've changed from where it used to just say my name is, now it says my name and pronouns are, which is interesting. I think it's a cool feature. It does, I don't know, maybe I'm just being overly skeptical. I don't know, I just worry that they'll focus on things that are giving off the appearance of inclusivity without doing that much. I'll talk about this a little bit later in the video, but I do sort of worry about that they might just be oh, look, now it says my name and pronouns are, inclusivity, but functionally that doesn't really do anything until you change the way that the game works, I think it's easy to make these, aesthetic changes that make it seem inclusive, the way that they opened up the gender options before, which is, better than what we had, I guess, but it's not, it's not that, it doesn't functionally change the way that the game is set up to work. So that's my main concern here. But it seems like in this mock-up they've created, or what they're working on so far, there's going to be in the section where normally you have the first and last name, there's also going to be a section for pronouns. So far, in English at least, again, I don't know how this is going to work in different languages because it's not going to be as simple as, choosing pronouns the same way in every language, but I guess we'll see. But for now, the pronoun options are she, her, hers, he, him, his, and they, them, their. And then there's also a custom option. So that's interesting. That's actually a little bit more than I was expecting, and I do think that's promising. So basically, I'm assuming for each sim you create, you can go in and choose specifically what their pronouns are. I am curious to see if it's gonna default. You know how you can change the gender settings, but if you click one, it'll default to all these, basically cis male or cis female settings. I do wonder if the same thing's gonna happen with pronouns, but maybe not. Maybe for every sim you can choose their pronouns, which would be pretty cool. That does also bring up the point of are there gonna be pre-generated townies that use anything besides she and he? Are there going to be the automatically generated NPCs in the world? Are they gonna use other pronouns? That's also something that remains to be seen. But for the custom pronoun option, it looks like you can type in, basically there's 3 slots, at least at this point in development, where they, them, and their would be, you can replace it with something else. So they put like z, zir, and zirs, which again is very cool. There are more than 3 pronoun types, so like you have to put in more than that for it to function correctly, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on how they're making the, like, what the scripts are that they're plugging it into. But I think you're going to need more than 3 slots. I guess we'll see. So, like, with they, them pronouns, right? There's they, them, their, and theirs. And then themself or themselves. So that's already, like, 5. So we're only having 3 options. So, not all pronoun sets work that way, but okay. Again, for preliminary, for actually having a custom pronoun field, that's pretty cool. You can put whatever pronouns you want in there for your sim and it'll probably work, so that's nice. They also said there will be like a profanity filter on what pronouns you can upload to the gallery. So in the same way, like now you can pretty much name your sim whatever you want, but you can't upload it to the gallery if it has certain like prohibited words in the name. So it'll be the same thing for pronouns, which I think is totally fine, because like if you want to mess around with pronouns in their own game, like, I don't care. I'm not going to see it. I don't know what they get up to in their game anyways. It's probably horrible, but I don't know about it, so it's fine. But I do think that's probably a good idea to keep, you don't want to have any nasty surprises in the pronoun section when you're downloading a sim off the gallery. So that is basically what we have so far, what we got from this stream. Now it's time for the doubts, for the skepticism, for the criticism. I gotta do it. So my main concern here is, will this be more about the appearance of inclusivity, or will it actually be functional inclusivity and like making the game actually work for us? As I said, there are issues in the game. They opened up, they said, oh, you can make trans sims now because they opened up the gender options, but functionally you kind of can't. Like, you can't even make a sim have facial hair and boobs, which is like a super, super common trans experienced by lots of trans people. And also just like not even trans people, like lots of people have some amount of facial hair and a bigger chest. Like, that's just the thing that happens, but we can't do it in the game. There's also the issues with clothing being like weirdly limited to the different gender binary stuff, which doesn't even need to exist. Like, I don't understand why we need to have a male and a female body type. Like, everything is so stretchable and customizable in The Sims. We have different face presets. We have, why can't there just be a couple different body presets that aren't tied to male and female? Or why can't there be one to start with? And then if people want to change, the hips or the waist or the shoulders or the head size, they can just do that themselves. I don't know why we had to start from the binary to begin with, because that's kind of what's causing a lot of these problems. And I understand the game was released in like 2014. Like, it wasn't we weren't here. We weren't where we are now then. I'm just saying, like, a lot of these issues come from the assumption of the binary from the beginning. There's also the issue of the nails, which I, of course, have made videos about. And when they released nails for Sims, it was really cool. Oh, there's inclusivity. There's pride flag nails. Like, isn't that awesome? Except they don't work on trans Sims. They don't work on gender non-conforming Sims. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say I'm worried that there's going to be the appearance of inclusivity over like functional inclusivity, like something that actually works for us. Because you can say, oh, we have pride nail polish, and like, people will get excited and it'll look like, oh, I can have trans flag colors, I can have non-binary flag colors in the game, like, that's so cool. And the same, like, they put in pride flags, which is very functional. People wanted to put those in their houses and stuff. So it's great that there are pride flags in the game. I just worry that a lot of this stuff it's like they're throwing us a little bone to like get us to be quiet, like, oh, well, we gave you that, like, you can just shut up now, or like trying to gain points by appearing to be progressive and like, oh, trans rights and stuff, when all of these things that we have so far are very unintrusive. Like, if people don't want to think about the existence of trans people in their game, they just can they don't have to. Like, there's been like a couple townies created that have some amount of gender nonconformity, but people can just, make them whatever they want or pretend it doesn't exist. Like, there's so many assumptions of cis normativity and like the gender binary baked into the game that if you're a trans simmer, you can't ignore. you know? I couldn't play my game and pretend that cisgender Sims didn't exist, right? But like a cis simmer could totally play and just completely never have any interaction with transness whatsoever, you know? So while I am cautious and I am a little bit skeptical, I will say, at least what we have so far, this interface, it does look like this will be much more in your face, possibly less opt-out. It seems like they might actually make everyone choose pronouns for their sim every time, which is not something we've had before. So it would actually, run the risk of angering those people, those transphobes. It would actually, be something that is really going to affect the way that the game feels to play as a non-binary simmer, as a trans simmer. I don't make myself in The Sims usually because when I see, pronouns or, incorrect words used to refer to me, or when I just see the very limited, gender, body and clothing options, it makes me dysphoric. And I want to be able to make myself and to make Sims like me without feeling like that. And this is definitely a step towards that, which I do appreciate. I do. I just worry because we've had so many attempts that didn't hit the mark, that I am concerned about how this is actually going to turn out functionally, if it's actually going to work well. But I guess that remains to be seen, and we still don't even know when, so we're just waiting for whenever. Like I said, I think I might make a video about the mods that exist now to sort of give some customizable pronouns or just gender neutral language in the game to address some of these issues. I know that doesn't address the problem for everyone, but it is, something, I guess, that at least exists. So if you're interested in that, subscribe so that you can see that video, and give this video a like to let me know that you liked it. And please leave comments down below letting me know what you think, unless you're going to be a bigot about it. If you're going to be a bigot about it, please don't. I'm not going to have arguments in the comments about pronouns are stupid, or I don't know, whatever people want to say. So, but yeah, if you have constructive things to say about this topic, I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear about your experiences and your thoughts on this new feature. And yeah, I hope this video is helpful, and I will see you next time.